incredible days of sadness and grief and guilt, where I thought, what have I fed my children, and how did I not know? Since when has food gotten so toxic to our children?
I would cry myself to sleep every night.
The sadness when you see your children in pain is tough.
My 9-year-old son had to spend so much time in the hospital and in pain because of diet.
And I went to a gastroenterologist, and he put me on medication and told me that I would be on this medication for the rest of my life.
I wake up in the morning and have no energy.
Allergies, hemorrhoid, hair thinning and falling out, waking up with no energy, feeling groggy and congested.
There is something going wrong in our environment, and I maintain that food is a huge part of that.
Quality of life is dying. I would say that we're obese, I would say that we're inflamed, I would say that we have arthritis and pancreatitis and colitis and carditis and arthritis and sinusitis and esophagitis and hepatitis and pancreatitis and itis. And I think it comes from our food.
We consume more genetically modified food than any other country on the planet. Americans have more diabetes than any country in the world, more heart disease, more high blood pressure, more fibromyalgia, more cancer, more restless leg syndrome, more acid reflux, more every disease.
You don't have a single law in the United States, not one, that actually requires looking at the environmental or health consequences of GMOs.
GMOs, what I heard about GM.
General Motors operations.
It's kind of wrong for them.
I do not know what a GMO is.
No idea what a GMO is.
I don't think they're too good.
Seeds.
Butterflies. That's not cool, man.
Disappeared for no reason.
It's nonsense. It's nonsense.
What did I hear?
Greedy money operation.
I think it's a silly idea.
And it's been linked to GMOs?
I think it's a bad idea.
Gastrointestinal makeover.
Nope.
Green maple.
You don't know either.
I'm not sure if I heard anything.
Genetically modified organisms are an abomination.
I didn't even know that our food has GMOs.
I think they're very unsafe.
It's man playing God.
I think they're horrible.
I know my wife is really up to date with her nutrition, so she sends me here to shop at Whole Foods for my kids.
Here we have food substances being introduced into the food supply that are genetically modified, and the American consumer has no way in the marketplace to distinguish GMO foods from non-GMO foods.
We should have the freedom to choose, but we have to have informed choices. So if the consumers are kept in the dark, how can they be informed?
A lot of the claims that were made in the beginning that these biotech products were going to feed the world have not come true.
The issue is whether or not the food has high nutritional value and whether or not the growing of the food threatens the environment.
Looking at the science that there are very, very real health problems associated with GMOs.
There's potential problems just in the actual process of genetic modification.
This notion of people have been consuming things and there's no problem. Well, if there haven't been any studies and you don't have any labeling, how would you know?
2/3 of the population don't even know about GMOs. I think the first thing we need to do is educate people.
We can't eat genetically modified foods. We can't eat animals that eat genetically modified foods.
I would say eliminate GMO produce from your family's diet immediately.
I want GMOs gone. They should not be in this world. They should not be there for my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren.
It turns out the more people learn about GMOs, the less they trust them.
We don't know what the long-term repercussions are, and if you can get it through a naturally grown product, why would you ever want to eat a genetically modified piece of food?
That not only decrease the quality of the food, but threaten the very existence of ourselves as a species.
And why some people think that this is okay.
It's mandatory at this time in history that we clean up our diet.
It's the common theme among all of my patients. I prescribe a non-GMO diet to everyone.
So I just tell my patients, don't eat it.
I don't think genetically modified foods are necessarily evil or wrong. I think that whenever we need to make a judgment, we should look at the scientific data.
Genetically modified crop plants are the most thoroughly tested crop plants in the history of humanity.
These are very unscientific claims. They're not based on the evidence for safety. They're based on absence of evidence in some cases.
But there's no scientific evidence that introducing genes through the techniques that I've described to you causes massive damage, causes the synthesis of new toxins. There just isn't any.
That anybody, biotechnology industry or government agency, that makes statements, categorical statements, that there is not a shred of evidence of negative health or environmental impacts of GM crops and foods, are living in a world of denial.